therapies together. So hopefully that answers what we do.
Great. I actually wrote the program for Harvard for Malillo when Malillo did the Harvard study. So I'm very familiar, and yeah, have met and worked with him a few times. So I applaud you guys. Great job doing what you're doing. That's incredible. You must see some great outcomes from that.
We do. And yeah, actually our whole program is based on that Harvard study. So we do 15 weeks of therapy as per that study. And yeah, we do the retained primitive reflexes and the, brain stimulation. And then it's just about that, because the metronome is another sort of therapy all in itself. Some of the parents are up for it straight away. Some of them are never up for it. Some of them, they do those 15 weeks first, and then we say, okay, why don't we add that in? So that's a really great that you'd have a great insight into what we do, and how those parents found it, and how to best incorporate the metronome with those other therapies.
Right. One of the things that I know can be a huge barrier or struggle is even the idea of rhythm for some of our kiddos, right? If you have tried to put a kid on the IM and they fall apart because it's too overwhelming, they may need to step back a little bit and do some rhythm training. I do have some videos and some info on this. Do you guys want me to pull that up, or do you want more of a free flow chat today?
No, I think that's exactly where we need to start. Would you agree?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let me make sure.
I think Barbara's put her hand up. That means she's got a question for you.
Okay, great.
Yes, sorry, I just wanted to chime in. So I have a gorgeous 12-year-old son with 2-3 level autism, and that's exactly what happened to us. We tried to incorporate the interactive metronome, and it was just too much. So at this point in time, I'm just using an app and doing hand over hand and trying to get him to do that. But I'd like to actually start using the interactive metronome and not overwhelm him. Thank you.
Right. You are like so many other parents and therapists that don't really understand that developmentally, if a child does not work through the successes and failures of movement, they are not going to have the rhythmic cueing that the rest of us have naturally, and there is some research now showing that children who understand rhythm from the beginning have a much better time academically than those who don't even want to participate in it when they're toddlers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this part of the PowerPoint that I use for teaching. And see, let me just pull this up, and hopefully you guys can see this okay.
Yep, we can see it. Just while you're getting that set up, Kelly, can I confirm, or April, if you're able to record this? Because like I said, some of our therapists couldn't make this time, and it's very valuable, and we'd love to be able to share it with them at a later time.
I think we can absolutely record this. Kelly, do you need me to do that?
I actually started recording it about 3 minutes ago. So right when you started talking. So I will have to see how I can package that for you, because it said there wasn't enough space in our cloud. So it's saving to my computer. So it might take me a day or two to figure out how to export it to a link. But I am recording it. So
awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
That's great. So we know that IM can be really helpful for a majority of the clients that we work with. In fact, there's been very few children, adults, athletes that I've ever worked with it. I don't know that I could name one, in fact, that didn't have some sort of benefit from doing the interactive metronome. So some of the things that we know about IM is that the closer to the beat you are, the better the outcomes cognitively, but not all kids have that from the beginning. So to facilitate timing, I love what, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, but I love what you said about the fact that you're doing some hand over hand things. But as I have used this with a variety of kids, one of the things that I've done is with my own clinicians is I want to take them back to, here's what normal would look like from a typical development child. And then I'm going to show you some videos of atypical. So this is just a quick little video of Sunny, who was just playing outside of a restaurant one day. The music was playing. She happens to be my granddaughter, by the way. And she started to participate in the rhythm. And it was such a great example of what we're looking for from the children that we work with, but we don't always see it. So hopefully you can hear this. Let me know if you can't.
You drumming?
So perfect example of what we want from a child before we get started. They have a sense of rhythm. She's listening. She wants to participate in it. And not all kids have that. So this next video is of Ezekiel, who I have given him all the stuff, all of the musical instruments that he could want. And I am drumming on the drum a little bit with one of the drumsticks, but I want you to just watch how he is pretty unaware that there's even anything to drum to.
Play it to the beat, Ezekiel.
Drumming, not because he's playing to the beat.
Play to the beat. Good job.
And that's where we start with a lot of our kids. Now, let me show you some examples of how I implement rhythm training before we get on the interactive metronome.
Let's clap. Clap with me. Good. What if we do this? Stomp, 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 stomp. Big stomps, big stomps. Good job. Good job. Should we swing now? Okay, get on. Here we go. Forward, back. Forward, back.
So that is Anna, and Anna was even less interested in rhythm than the first video I showed you of Ezekiel. She would be doing puzzles, playing. She was nonverbal and would not even participate in anything I was doing. This is 3 months after we started rhythm training, which is basically just playing that metronome beat in the background and in training whatever you're doing, whatever movement you have that, you know, would fit that rhythm. So stomping and swinging. These are a couple more videos of big gym movement, you know, big motor movement. So you'll notice that the rhythm is slower in this video to give him a little more time to process.
Jump. Jump. Okay, now this time I want you to jump and clap at the same time, okay?
Okay.
Okay, ready? Jump. 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 Okay, listen to the beat.
Oops.
Jump. Jump. It's okay, you're doing great. It's okay. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. Okay. Ready? Listen to the beat.
The goal with a lot of this prep and the rhythm training would be to model it with the child and then slowly kind of take it away. Here's another video of whole body
Ready?
movement.
Okay, let's jump now. Ready? We're gonna do a whole body. So we're gonna go star, circle, star, circle, star. Okay, ready? Circle, star, circle, circle, circle. Let's go back.
I know you guys mentioned that you do a lot of distance training. And so showing videos like this where the parent might be able to go to the park and do hopscotch or do something like make an obstacle course with the couch cushions that they're just jumping from one to the next. So I like to start with whole body movement and then get down to a little more specific.
Ready?
This is some ocular motor work with this one.
Blue and red. Blue, red. Look at it. Blue, red. Blue, red. Good. Red, blue, red. I gotcha.
So a little more, I'll show you a couple more and then you guys can chat with me and let me know if you have questions. So that was Andrew, and Andrew could not find the beat to save his life about 3 months ahead of this, but we just kept at it and kept at it. And you'll notice that I am not clapping, I'm not modeling. I now at this point with him, I'm just playing the beat and he is participating by clapping. This is a little guy who is a trauma child. He's 4, nonverbal. And he would do whatever an adult will model to him.
Good.
So I'm just really wanting him to understand that idea of rhythmic cueing.
You want to swing while you do that? Swing, swing, swing.
So after you've done a bunch of rhythm training, then we can move to the hand over hand with or without the video or without the metronome. And I can dive into that hand over hand for you guys if you want, but I thought I would just kind of stop and ask any questions, any comments. Nope, you're good.
Question. You go, Barbara.
No, you go ahead, Josh. You were first.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for that, and that's really great. So this sounds sort of like a bridge to using the actual metronome, interactive metronome software with the games and things. So my question would be, how long are you typically spending with a child and these big motor movements, either jumping or clapping? Because we are doing 3 sessions a week with the child, and we normally do 30 minutes. Would it need to be, because we want to make this specific so that we can write it into a program almost. Would 5 minutes a session be enough? 10 minutes, 1 minute, so that we can see progress to working them towards the full, game and the full experience?
That's a great question, Josh. So the difference with that is I'm seeing kids 1 to 2 times a week for either 40 to 60 minutes. Yeah. One of the things that I did about 10 years ago, before we had apps on the phone and all that stuff, is I would make a CD of a metronome beat, and I would send it home with the parents, and I would say, play this in the car on your way to therapy, play it on the way home, play it before bed, play it during mealtime, play it during homework time, and it becomes a part of your environment. And so you might even find that playing the rhythmic cue during your reflex integration exercises may work. And it may be a twofold success then, because we know how entrained rhythm is in our development. And if these kids don't have an idea of that rhythm, and we're trying to do, primitive reflex integration and movement. I mean, I'll even do it during yoga, during our primitive reflex stuff, during breathing exercises, techniques. So I would say, use your best judgment based upon the family. Like, are they going to be able to do it? Will they do it when you're not online with them? I mean, they're free apps. I don't have a favorite one, but my preference and my experience has been, the more that a child is exposed to this, even just a plain rhythmic cue of the metronome, the faster their entrainment to the understanding of it. And then they get on the interactive metronome, and we have blasted through phase 1 and 2, right? We don't even have to go back to a lot of that, and the guide sounds come so much quicker.
Okay, yeah. So as much as possible is the answer that I'm hearing. And I saw on one of your slides there, because I know you can set the beats per minute depending on the condition or who you're working with. You had 54 beats per minute. Is that what you'd recommend? So again, if the child is not ready to jump on and do the games and hand over hand, if you're just playing it in the car and at home, is 54 beats per minute, is that where you like to start?
Actually, no. And here's why. We have kids that are impulsive and are quick on the draw, and they wake up and they are already at 80 miles an hour. So one of the things that I will tell my families is this can be a great regulation tool. So in the morning, if the kid gets up and we are just already going through the cupboards and getting every toy out and we're very dysregulated, 40 beats a minute. It's slow. If it's playing, we will all entrain to that. If you have a kid who can't get going in the morning, like me, I'm not a kid anymore, but I really hate, getting going in the morning fast, then a faster tempo is better. And I've had some really great success with even helping the parents with their children's regulation statuses. So after school, a kid does not need music in the car. A kid does not need talking because they've been exposed to all this auditory all day long. So I love a 40 beat a minute metronome beat on the way home, or the first 10 minutes when a kid walks in the door when they're having their snack. It's quiet. It pulls us out of fight or flight. So one of the things that we know about these kids that receive services, special services, that also have retained primitive reflexes, is that they have a really hard time with going from fight or flight to rest and digest. So parasympathetic to sympathetic, it's just all over the place. So my goal before I start with any child is to pull them back from fight or flight. And one of the ways to do that would be that slow breathing. And I'm teaching a 4-8 breathing pattern. So inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. If they can't do 4, 4, 8, then we're doing 2, 2, 4, 3, 3, 6, 4, 4, 8. So we're going to build up to 4, 4, 8 because research is showing that that exhale, if you do that twice as long as your inhale, that it will activate the vagal nerve and it will pull you out of fight or flight. So that could be part of the problem when we give them all this new equipment and, hey, you're going to get on this and it's going to be great. You're going to play games and all this. That can be anxiety producing because now I have to perform. And so if they're already entrained to rhythmic timing, and we can go, before we start, we're just going to practice some 4, 4, 8 breathing. We put the metronome on and we're breathing. So Josh, to answer your question simply, I use a lot of different rhythms for a lot of different purposes because my families can grasp that. It's very simple, right? And it also gets them off of the rap music in the car or the music that's just too loud. There's too much going on. And it pulls them back to simplicity, if you will, before we start something else.
Awesome. Thank you. So just to recap there, if the child is, go, 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 you will go as low as 40. How high would you go if we've got a child with low motivation? How high would you go on the beats?
Oh, that's a great question.
What does it take to get you out of bed?
So I would 60 to 70 really, because if you go higher than that, now you're pushing that resting heart rate. And the higher the heart rate, the faster we're going to go into that fight or flight. So I like to modulate as low as possible. So the lowest high. So if 60 is not high enough, 65. If 65 isn't fast enough, 70. But unless we're using the IM and they are doing a motor movement to it, I'm not sure I would go a lot higher than that. Just because it's hard to process. I've found it's hard for these kids to process. Now on the interactive metronome, I've had kids that kill it at 80 tempo. Like they're doing awesome. And even when I take them from 80 back down to 54, they are consistent with their SRO percentage. So with the metronome, it's more of a regulatory cueing coaching. And then when we get on the IM, now we're actually doing that auditory motor training with the movement. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm not sure I explained that well.
No, perfect. Thanks, Bart. Your turn, Barbara.
Oh, thank you. Your questions were brilliant, Josh, and you answered what I was asking. My one question was regarding your favorite apps, and I was just, were you using Up2Drum for one of them?
That's a good question. So let me get my glasses on because I'm old and you all are not. So I have to look at what I have here.
Put your glasses on, Sarah, make her feel better.
This is the one that it's very simple and it's easy to use. It's called what's it called? I don't even know what it's called. Let's see.
Metronome? Is it metronome?
Yes, it's something like that. It's just very simple and I can modify it really easily. Let's see. You can buy it for $2. It's a $2 app. So yeah. Oh, and then, okay. So it's called Metronome Touch. And I can do a beats per measure. And then I can also do a signature beat, which, oh, I don't know what I just did. There we go. So if we go back to like 40, so every fourth beat has a different tone. So if we're breathing, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2. This is really slow breathing. The kid's going to pass out. And then exhale for that 8. So you can change that. but I'm old school. I actually learned to play classic piano on a metronome like this, so that's what I was drawn to. But anything that's free that will give a beat to our parents that they can use. And the other thing I will tell you is, if they're really serious about it, they need to put their phone on airplane mode, because every time the phone rings or there's a message that comes in, it will stop the beat. And that's just teaching our kids that, technology is more important than what we're doing here. And so I struggle with that with our parents and our kids anyway, because, texting will draw their attention away. So if they're going to dedicate 10 minutes, then put your phone on airplane mode and dedicate that 10 minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So Chris and Sarah, how's this going for you? Do you have questions, or is it connecting for you?
Yeah, I'm loving what you were saying, April. I'm an OT as well, and I work in a clinic mostly. And the rhythm piece has left my practice somehow, and I'm so excited to bring it back in again. And I suppose just a couple of questions I have, because I've done some of Jen Jerob's work, and she talks about like matching the regulation. So if a child comes in high, match them there and then bring them down. Would you suggest that as well, or just starting low? Like, do they need to be? Yeah.
So I think that's time consuming. Personally,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's great. I'm not familiar with her work. But I don't know that it would matter, honestly.
Okay.
It might help the child entrain a little bit faster, but by doing that, what you're doing is you're starting and stopping, starting and stopping. Whereas if you give them a foundational rhythm, here's where we're going to end up, or this is where we need to be. Now it's consistent, and that's just my opinion on that.
Yeah. Okay, great. I had a little boy come in this week, and he's 3 and he can't jump with 2 feet. And I'm thinking this work would be perfect for him. What age? I mean, any age, or is there? Yeah.
I have a 13-month-old right now that I'm working with, and I put this on with because he is hypotonic, genetic hypotonia, and he will just flop, wherever he wants to go. And I want more concise movements. And so by using the beat, he can hand me toys on the beat. And then it's easier for him to go into crawling with that reciprocal motion when we already have that rhythm. So that's I use it at all ages.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So you guys, where do you want to go from here? I am at your disposal for as long as you need me tonight. I have some other videos that I could show you about like differences in first time training to 6th and 7th time training on the IM. I can show you some case studies. You guys let me know what you want.
I got one more question.
Okay.
To solidify this, because I think this is our biggest challenge where, okay, the parent, the evidence speaks for itself. Yes, I want the benefits for my child, but yeah, it's hard to get them, going. And so I love that we can take some steps back and work them up to it. So what I'm hearing is the first step is we just play it, in the house, in the car, get them used to that beat and that frequency. And then the second step would be to add some just general movements. So maybe after I've done this for a week, and the kid may even start to do some movements. If they don't, I model some movements. So that might be, let's try clapping to the beat, or let's try jumping to the beat. And then it's a less, with the metronome, it's great because you get that feedback, unless it's negative feedback, right? And so with the jumping and clapping, it's just general feedback, like you're doing great, or keep going. And so I'm just trying to think about, in my mind, how do I know when they're ready to get on and have a positive experience? Is it when I can see that, okay, they're making progress in the fact that they can clap to the beat or jump to the beat pretty, accurately or pretty closely. Now I'm thinking, okay, if we get them on the metronome, they're gonna, be okay and have a good experience. Is that what it looks like? I'm trying to see what this process looks like, getting them to the end goal.
Right. So our end goal is to get them on the IM. So that's a little bit of a hit and miss as well. And that's tough because you guys are distance providers. The advantage I have is that I can stick a kid on the IM and go, oh, we're not ready, so we're going to go back to the gym. But we all, because we do IM, hopefully we all have a good sense of timing. And like that last video that I showed you where the kid was clapping by himself on the swing and he was doing it independently to the beat, he's ready for IM. The kid that is drumming and really not looking around, not ready. Even the other little girl that I had on the swing that I was really doing large movements with and asking her to participate, she wasn't quite ready for that. One of the cues that I have is that if I'm working with a nonverbal autistic individual, typically I'll see language improve first, even with this metronome beat. And at that point, I know now cognitively we're probably ready to get on the IM. But that's a really tough one, Josh. I wish I could answer definitively for you on that, but I think it really is, oh, they're participating in the beat without me having to do the movements with them. But what a great opportunity for families to do this together. Like if you have all the kids and we're going to go to the park and we're going to play jumping on the stones to the beat, and and then you stop the beat and the last one moving is out or whatever, you can make these games up, and then you have that power of family also and caregivers and siblings. Yeah, I don't know. I think I just went off on a tangent and down a rabbit hole. So I apologize. I'm not sure that I can answer that definitively.
Okay, thank you. I think I've got a better idea of what it looks like, and some things like when you'll know. I think.
Yeah.
And the parent's the expert, so just tell them to be looking for that, and yeah,
absolutely. And I will tell you that there are some families, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right, where mom or dad cannot handle it. Like they're like, oh my gosh, I can't even drive with that on. Okay, then don't. Let's do it during bath time. Let's do it during mealtime. And it doesn't take that long. Like maybe I think I've had maybe a week where a family's like, yeah, we can't even do it. And a week in, they were like, we don't even know that it's there anymore. But they do know it's there, because if you put a beat on for more than 5 minutes and everyone in the house can hear that beat, eventually the heart rates and the breathing will all entrain to that beat, whether they like it or not. So, and that would be another reason why you might want to start slow, is because you don't want the whole house doing this, right? And especially in the morning. But, giving them some other sensory tools like crunchy foods, where let's crunch to the beat, fun thing, just nothing is out of bounds, right? And that's what's so simplistic about this. And then when you do put them on the interactive metronome, now we're adding a layer of, hey, now we're going to plant fairy flowers. Now we're going to catch fish. And now we have that visual gaming component of it, if you want to use that, that is novel, right? So we've moved from simplistic to more novel, and now we can make it more complex, so that we are using the IM home and we are making progress toward their goals. A hand raise. Yes, there's an emoji for that, I think, even.
Is there? I'm old school. I raise my hand.
I love it. I love that.
So the way it works for us is a parent will order the metronome through, Josh. Arrives at their house, they open it up, and they're like, what's next? So how do we help our parents, because we are once again on Zoom, is there like, I think there's some courses they can sign up for, like you open the box, what's next?
Yeah.
How would you guide the parents through the setup and everything?
So there is, I believe that there is a tutorial online on the I Am Home site. And so way before I even have the equipment in their hands, typically when I'm setting up I Am Home, I will have them go on the I Am Home website, the eClinic. And, you know, I will set up their user and all that stuff, and I'll let them kind of get familiar with it. Then when the equipment arrives, we are, you know, downloading the software and, you know, getting it all set up. And sometimes I don't have great luck with that very first session doing the long form assessment or, you know, diving right in. And so you might have to actually add a couple of sessions at the beginning. That might be another learning curve where today we're just going to do 5 minutes and it's just going to be, you know, clapping, or even 3 minutes, right? So you're just giving them a little bit of a taste of it, and, you know, no pressure. We're not in the program, right? So we're not doing the Melillo program yet. We're just getting warmed up, and that's super easy for you guys to do in the eClinic, to add like a 3 minute and a 4 minute session to get them going on it. So that one of the things that's really hard for our parents is that it is intimidating. It is a lot of technology, but also they paid a lot of money for this. And so it has to work, right? It's got to be there. And there's just a certain amount of stress. And IAM has done a great job of their tutorial videos and their webinars and things like that, but there's still a certain amount of anxiety for it. So I do try to add a couple of sessions at the beginning that are just low key. We're just going to clap, you know, just like what we did with just the metronome. And then we'll get into keeping our data and different things like that. So let's see. I've heard from everybody but Sarah and Christy. Are you guys OTs? Are you Melillo trainers? Talk to me a little bit about what you're doing.
Okay, I'll go first. Hi. Yes, I'm doing the Melillo method with Josh from home. So I've just jumped on late because I was with clients actually. So I'll go back and watch the beginning of the session. We don't use a lot of the interactive metronome, to be honest. It's expensive and people just don't have the funding. There are a few people that have had it and haven't had the best experiences, I guess. So I think Barbara's questions were really good just about the setup and that. So yeah, this is great. Just a few tips on that to help in the future.
Can I ask what was the negative about, because I've had a few families as well with that, and I think every family is different, but can I just ask what that negative was that it didn't go well?
I think the main thing was just the setup of it,
okay,
and not understanding how to use it properly.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, with the tutorials and stuff, I think that's been more recent. So I think that's got better over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the main thing. And then I think just the cost for a lot of parents, they're just like, oh, I don't really want to do that. Like, it's too much, you know? So even like you're saying, just having a beat at home, just something simple, is a good way to use it as well.
Well, and if they start to see success with that simplistic metronome beat, what we know from research is that will only take you so far. If we want actual neuroplasticity changes where it would be consistent and static, we have to measure our response to that beat. And it should be within that 30 millisecond range to have that optimal behavior change. So that is one thing consistently through the research that we know, is that measurable change with our response to that auditory beat is what drives that neuroplasticity. And the hard thing is when you're just playing a metronome beat, like I've done this for 15 years, so I know when I'm offbeat. Like there are a couple of those videos that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so offbeat on those videos. But I can pretty much tell, but I've done it for 15 years. And our parents are not going to, you know, they might be offbeat, so their kid might be offbeat. So what we're trying to do with just the metronome is introduce that rhythm and timing component. Like that's a part of our life. Then when we get on the IM, now we are really driving that change with response to the beat, getting our millisecond ranges down. And I would say that that rings true over and over and over again throughout my practice, that when my clients are reducing their millisecond averages to the beat, we really see that that neuroplasticity change. So, but I love that you're trying. I am not familiar with Australia's healthcare system. Are y'all on like a blanket? Is it countrywide, or you know what? Can you explain a little bit of that? I might be able to give you some tips on that.
Maybe Barbara would be the best. You have experience in how the funding can work if you have a child with special needs.
Yeah, so we have Australia-wide funding, but that wouldn't cover something like that. A lot of people have private healthcare, and I think depending on the layer or whatever you're paying for, or the cover you're paying for, there may be some allowance there. Because I have a child on the autism spectrum, we have something called NDIS, which is government funding for therapies. And you can apply to have the interactive metronome covered through that. But I'll be very honest with you. It depends on luck whether you actually get the approval. We got lucky, but I know other families who asked to have the interactive metronome covered and they were, refused. So yes, so you can use something called NDIS to apply to have it covered, but fingers crossed.
Yeah. We've had some luck. I've had some luck in the past with local associations like a Down Syndrome Association or the Autism Association of Brisbane or whatever. I've been to Brisbane. I've actually been to Australia, and I know y'all aren't in Brisbane because we would have been an hour later if you were. But I love Australia, by the way. I don't love your snakes, but I love your country. But we over here similar. So interactive metronome is not considered durable medical equipment, so it would not be covered by an insurance plan. But you can use pre-tax dollars, or you can apply for, our country's Medicaid or whatever. But when all else fails, we will reach out to organizations in the community, even the Rotary, or I don't know what organizations y'all have, but that would be a funding source that is really quite untapped. And if you can get on that, society right now is really for the autistic, for the ADHD child, for the families with special needs children. And in our country anyway, there is a good amount of empathy for that. And so we've had really good success with outside agencies saying, we'll give you a grant. Even if it's $300 instead of $500, that's, pulling that cost down, because it is cost prohibitive. A lot of these families can't even afford food, right? And they're doing great to afford the Malillo method. And now we're asking them to do another, piece of that. But you might look into that. That might be something. So Christy, I would love to say hello to you. And are you a therapist? Are you a parent? What do you do? Give me a little background. Oh, we can't hear you. If you just, mute.
Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry.
It's
okay. I'm with Connected Kids with Josh as well, doing the Malillo method. And I've had 2 of my clients get the interactive metronome. And one of them, she kind of got the box, got excited, and then didn't use it. And then the second one, she's just got it. But I am nervous that she's going to find it a bit overwhelming. So it's interesting to hear that, because like mum has also bought her the Melilo glasses with the lights, and she found that like really overwhelming. So it was good to hear your tips on like just breaking it in gently for her. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're absolutely you're welcome. Yeah, it can be very, very intimidating. And the other, side of this is the kids that don't want to participate in it, right? I have a kiddo that is autistic, and she wants to learn to play the piano, but she doesn't want to do the interactive metronome. But she participated in it was a study that IM did, and she was one of the IM home kids that participated, and she did great, but only got through about 10 sessions. But I will tell you that even the kids that I have that are only doing 6, 7, 8 sessions, I am seeing incredible results from these kids. And I don't know if that's because their brains are more plastic and they're more willing, and so when they get on the interactive metronome, then that day they're using that rhythm and timing cueing, and it's helping them with their auditory processing and things. And so I even have kids where over the course of 5 months, they've maybe done 12 sessions, and they've knocked like 400% on average off of their scores. Like they've gone from 200 milliseconds to 30 consistently with any part of their body, like toes and heels and all of that. And so, my thought, and I have absolutely no research to back this up, but I can pull up some scores and show you some videos. I do have it in writing that some kids just take to this like a fish out of water, and they're gonna do great. And then you've got other kids who just need a little more of the training wheels before we get them on there. And I do think that there is that factor of we're all overwhelmed. This is a piece of equipment that we're supposed to clap to the beat, and we don't even know what a beat is. And so doing that metronome training ahead of time, and then let's just get on the e-clinic. Let me show you a video. Let me, help you with getting used to this. And let's just log on and log off, and then log on again. Send messages. So that's the other thing you can do with the IM Home. Just spend a couple of days sending messages to each other. When I am training kids, one of my things is, okay, we can text now through the, through the program, and I want to hear from you. I want to know what you like, what you don't like, even if it's a smiley face or, a frowny face. It's something that the child is looking forward to doing. I've got to text Miss April. I've got to get on the IM, and she's expecting a message from me, so again, it's novel, and you can make it fun, and, this is your thing, not, your siblings don't get to do this, just you. This is really cool. And so making it a little more special for them ahead of even getting it out of the box could be helpful.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Kelly, and Josh, how are we on time? Are we good?
Yeah, it's been an hour, so that's typically how long our trainings go for, and I've really enjoyed it, got a lot of value out of it, and definitely some ways that we can help our clients to get, I think, be better prepared, and so that they will have a better experience with it. I think that's the main thing that we like. The evidence is undeniable, and the parents want it for their kids, but there is that friction point of a new thing. And so I've definitely got some good advice on how to reduce that friction.
Have you guys seen the marketing video that kind of introduces IM, and it can be for families or for adults? On the Interactive Metronome website, there's a video, and I think Kelly could probably send it to you as well. And it's a great way to introduce Interactive Metronome to your families because it's global. It's not just I am home, it's just I am. And then there's a couple of other videos. I don't know if you all know about the YouTube channel that Interactive Metronome has. If you go on there, you can access tons of people upload videos all the time. Here's what worked, here's what didn't work, look what I did today. So you might want to have that as a resource as well.
Awesome.
And I can send that channel over.
That would be great, Kelly. Thank you.
No
you
problem.
guys, thanks for allowing me into your country tonight. I love being able to chat with you, and this has been so fun for me. Hopefully we can talk again. Please let me know if you have other questions. Kelly can send you my email. I'm happy to answer questions over email or jump on Zoom again if you need it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time and your expertise.
Yeah,
and
you're welcome.
keep up the good work.
Thanks. Well, you guys, good luck with everything. I look forward to hearing about how things are going.
Okay.
Thank
Goodbye.
you. Thank you. Have a great day.